And I think the struggles that I know the struggles that I had early on stemmed from going into a house and trying to sell people stuff. And when I took a step back and I maybe pull out the Medicare handbook and I show them what you just said, which is what Medicare says, what the rules are, and then I educate. At the end of that presentation, more often than not, the consumer says, that's the one I want.
Yep.
I didn't have to sell anything.
Yeah.
I educated.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Medicare Sales Playbook. I am your host, Dallas Keithley. It is an honor and a privilege to get to bring you this show every Thursday. I know you guys are sitting there just waiting for this thing to drop, and I appreciate that. You guys have been so kind, so generous with all your comments, all your questions, and that is what this show is about. If you're just tuning in, what we are a podcast that is, our goal is to help Medicare agents get to the next level. You're going to hear positivity, you're going to hear encouragement, and we want to hear what level that is for you. How can we help you level up? What can we do to help you get to the next level? Adam Steffen is always doing a great job there in the box. He always reminds me, make sure you like, subscribe, like, share. Share is the word that I'm trying to read lips on now. I don't know what any of it means. Comment, but it's what all the cool kids are doing. So please be sure and do all that stuff. Today, I have with me a very special guest, a gentleman that drove up here just to do this. And I really appreciate that. We have the Vice President of Eldercare Insurance Services in Hot Springs, Arkansas, Mr. Jeremie Pielemeier. Man, thank you for coming to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, man. Now, I just learned something that I'm a little bit upset right now inside. I learned you're younger that I'm older than you. And I really thought you were older than me, man. I'm not going to lie.
I just look old?
No. It's the wisdom. It's the wisdom. I should be farther along in my life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When I see you. So
well, thanks for saying that.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're positivity. We're going. I like it. So, well, man, tell me about yourself. How long you been in the business? That kind of stuff.
I started selling Medicare insurance in I wrote my first policy August of 2000.
Okay.
Kind of dating myself back. I've been at the same company, Eldercare, as you mentioned, since then. And I started as an LOA or a captive agent.
Yeah.
And it's really all that I ever knew and loved doing it. It's a great business.
Yeah, it is. Man, it's been good to me. So when did you start exactly? Because I was 23 years ago. October of 2001 was my first month.
I got my insurance license August 15th, August 16th, somewhere right there of 2000.
Wow. So yeah, we're right there close, I think. So that's cool, man. So you started out as an LOA, license only agent, captive, stuff like that. How did your first year go? How did it start out for you? So
you may have heard my story when I talked at 8%, but it was terrible. I did not do well the first really 3 weeks, struggled to find any type of footing. And I actually tried to quit. It was not a business that I felt like was for me. So really just finding that first sale, which it was very elusive for me. And as time went on, I was able to figure it out.
Nice. Yeah. So who wouldn't let you quit?
Yeah. So as the story goes, my father-in-law was we called him unit manager. So he's who recruited me. He's who told me how easy it was and how great it would be, all kinds of lies. And so I told my then girlfriend that I was going to quit, and just giving her a heads up and not to tell her dad. And because I knew he would try to talk me out of it. Yeah. And so she told him. She didn't keep the secret, and he waited on me. Her. Yeah, I did. Yeah. I was committed at that point. So he stayed, and he sort of talked me through it. And I think that is when I tell the story, I say he stayed, he talked me into staying. The rest is kind of history, but one of the points that's missed is that he was a great mentor. And I think that in order to find success in this business or any business, you need someone that will help you along. Maybe encourage you on those tough days, someone you can brag to when you had a great day. And he was that for me. Yeah.
It is amazing how often in this podcast, almost every person comes in here and says, I had a mentor. I had somebody big that I looked up to, that I respected. Do you still have a mentor?
Yeah, I think they've changed for me over the years. I think that as my career has gone different directions, my mentors are different people. And I think it's really about surrounding yourself with people smarter than you.
Yeah.
I'm not the smartest person in this room right now. And so I think that it's super important that you do get opinions and hear what other folks have to say as you're moving forward in your development and in your career.
Yeah. The only reason you would ever want to be the smartest person in the room is just for boasting rights. And that's never good. Right. So my dad used to say all the time, Dallas, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Yeah.
And so find somebody that's better. And matter of fact, one thing I just read here a while back, Jeff Bezos says he never hires anybody that's not better than him at something. Right. And that's how you build a company. You guys have built quite a company there in Hot Springs, Eldercare Insurance Services. Tell us about that, what you guys do, how many employees, what are you guys doing now? All that stuff. Yeah.
So like any company, our company is great because of the folks that we work with.
Yeah. You guys have good people, man.
It's, like anything, because you guys have an amazing building here.
Thank you.
It's very impressive as you walk through. It's hard to keep your mouth closed. You're just kind of in awe of it. But the building itself is just a structure. It's the people inside of it that really make it a great company. And I think that we're very fortunate at Eldercare to have people that have been with our organization for years. We want to create an environment where people feel like they're family. And I think that whatever level of success you feel that we've had at Eldercare, which is always, say is in the eye of who's saying it, really stems from this 1950s business mentality that we try to have every day, which is just do the right thing, and really do what's best for agents and your staff and ultimately customers.
Yeah, I've got to watch you guys. We've been affiliated with you guys since 2014, I think is when that we first visited, and it was great then. But we've really got to watch you guys grow, and just some examples like Jennifer, she's amazing. She's called me from a cruise ship. She's answered the phone from a cruise ship, and I've, hear the in the background. I'm like, Jennifer, what are you doing? Why are you on vacation? Yeah. I'm like, don't answer my phone call. Julie in contracting is constantly. I joke about I'm her favorite agent and stuff like that, which I think she tells everybody that. But no, it feels that way. Adrian, I called her Friday at like 2 minutes before closing time. And I saw the clock after I called. I'm like, oh man, I'm bothering her. 45 minutes later, I got an email. So I know she stayed late just to help me do. So that's really, and we may have some individual agents watching out there that say, well, how does that apply to me? I think that comes from an individual basis. If you treat your clients like their family, that's important. And I know that shows through and is always there. Why? What are some of the things that you're doing to get your employees to buy into that?
Well, I think the business that we're in really needs a level of support that isn't 8 to 5. We're in houses making sales as salespeople at all hours of the day. And you've been in a house before, so you might be sitting in that house and I'm trying to think of my experiences. I've got a consumer I want to write, but they take 2 blood pressures and a diabetes pill, and I don't know where to put them. And so you need to phone that friend. And if somebody doesn't answer, that sale might end with, hey, I have to get back with you. And I think it's important. The old saying, time is money. And I think really in our business, we need to make sure that we're there, we're available. And listen, I appreciate you saying that that's a great attribute, and I'm not downplaying as a staff what we do, but I think that goes back to that 1950s mentality. It's just really the right thing to do to support your agents and your staff and your consumers. And so, we live in a world today where, you might call to get an estimate on, a new roof, and you call 3 or 4 people, no one calls you back. And so when someone does finally call you back, the first thing you typically say is, hey, thanks for calling me back. Yeah. And so really what's happened is, it has now become great to do what you just should be doing every day in business.
Right. The normal has become the super normal,
Right.
Yeah.
And so for us, I think what we want to do is try to exceed expectations if we can. We're not perfect. Like we're humans. We don't get it right every time, but businesses aren't always about what you get right. They're also about how you work through the things that you didn't get right. Great customer service.
Wow.
Always being there. And thanks for saying that. I hope our staff is watching and gets to hear what you think. If Jennifer's talking to me and you call or Brian calls, she's like, I have to go. It's Brian. And so I'm glad that she is picking up the phone.
Well, we have recognized that many times. And, so I want to look at this. You said something earlier that I want to come back to. You struggled getting started, right?
Oh, yeah.
In the agency. If you could go back and talk to 23-year-old Jeremie, how would you say, look, here's some things you could do to get started? Because we've got a lot of new agents watching. What information would you give him?
Well, that's a big question. I think that probably the number one, in my mind, reason for failure is an unrealistic expectation, and I certainly had that. Mm-hmm. I was sold on this idea that it was going to be really easy, and that it's a great business, and that you can make a lot of money, and all of that is true. Like this business has done things for my family that I never 23 years ago thought would have been possible.
Yeah.
And, but you have to stop and think, like, nothing that you do is easy, and nothing that generates success and ultimately a career that's fulfilling is just going to fall on your lap. And so going into it, I think that I assumed it would be really easy. And I think what happens and what creates frustration with new agents, and ultimately what leads them to leave the business, is when their expectations don't align with their results, then they feel like they need to go do something different.
Yeah.
And as you heard when I shared at 8%, you miss out on what is an amazing business. I mean, really, I'm sure there's great businesses out there, not necessarily great Medicare business, but I mean, great industries. But when you think about what we do and how amazing it is to have a consumer that needs what we're giving them, right? Mm-hmm. We're not pushing something that, and listen, I don't have anything against other products that get sold outside of our industry, but not everybody needs what salespeople are selling them, timeshares and all these things. They're great, and it's a great industry. But like every consumer needs a life insurance policy. And I have a passion, because if you're an agent, you've gotten that call at some point when your client's son or daughter calls and says, hey, my mom or dad passed away. How much life insurance did they have? And you're either going to say none or how much, and then they start crying because it's so impactful. Like, that's a great business.
It is.
We get paid on renewal income. So what we sold 5 years ago still pays us today. Yeah. I mean, it's really fantastic.
Well, I think that's what sets apart the Medicare business even more is, if I'm selling jet skis, I've got to convince somebody first why a jet ski is going to change their life and how they need it and why they need it and all that stuff. Medicare, you don't have to do that. Basically, the government is saying they have to have this. Mm-hmm. So that part of the sale is done. What you got to do is just educate them on here's what you need and stuff like that. I mentioned earlier, a lot of people come to this business with the stigma of, I don't want to be a salesperson. Anytime I hear that, I say, great. We don't want salespeople.
Right.
We want educators. We want people that'll do that. How do you, now we get talking about your agents and stuff like that, how do you educate your agents to say, okay, look, when you're in front of a client, here's how you make the most of the opportunity?
So again, I'll go back to my experience. I think you asked an interesting question that ties into what you asked me earlier, which was the struggles I had initially. Mm-hmm. I came from a background where I had to be a salesperson. I had to sell somebody something that they didn't need or even know they wanted when they woke up today, right? That doesn't translate well to talking to a consumer who's 70 years old and you're trying to be high pressured. And I think the struggles that I know the struggles that I had early on stemmed from going into a house and trying to sell people stuff. And when I took a step back and I maybe pull out the Medicare handbook and I show them what you just said, which is what Medicare says, what the rules are, and then I educate. At the end of that presentation, more often than not, the consumer says, that's the one I want. Yep. I didn't have to sell anything. Yeah. I educated. And if you really want to get into kind of the weeds of our business, which is probably a little bit more for this podcast, but think of how amazing it is that in our industry, we sell a product that is standardized across the board. So whether you're selling for company A or company B, those products are all the same, only the price is different. So in the independent agent space, like we're all in and the agents watching are in, they have all these different carriers that they can offer to make sure that they put the consumer in the very best position. And that, that makes selling products pretty awesome. The analogy that I've used over the years is like, as a salesperson, imagine if you come in to buy a new truck and you want a new Chevy pickup. And I show you the Chevy pickup and all the bells and whistles. And then you say, yeah, but before I buy, I want to go to the Toyota dealership. And then I say, hey, no problem. Our Toyota dealership's right here. And then you want to see a Ford, and we have them all. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter to me what car you buy.
Yeah.
I'm not incentivized to sell you one versus the other. I just want to earn your business with whichever one you choose.
Yeah. Especially in this business, people buy you.
Right.
Because like you said, products are all the same. They're buying you, and they're buying the service. They're buying, I think the easiest way to blow a sale is high pressure. I think that's the best way to blow a sale if you really want to. So yeah, they're buying you. So now you've gone, I love watching the transition. You've gone from agent to business. Now you're more on the executive side of it and watching agents grow. What brings you joy? What do you, when you go home and say, man, that was a good day, what is it that brings you joy?
So I love like an agent at our office pulls up with a new car, or they tell us that they bought their first house or whatever it is. Just the fact that they're reaching their goals, I think is very rewarding. It's exciting. And I love that.
Yeah. Do you know your agents' goals and stuff like that? Do you share those?
Some, we have several agents. So in some cases, we don't have those touches with every person, like we'd probably like to. But yeah, we try to talk through that.
Yeah. So I'm going to really shift gears on you now. I see the tattoo, man.
Okay. I
see the tattoo on the inside.
You barely see it.
No, I saw it there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You're going to share. We're getting ready to go down to an event down in Branson. You're going to share that story. But I love that. One of the things that you do very well, that I believe, is you balance your work life with your personal life. You got daughters, kids, stuff like that. Talk to me about maybe how you do that. There's probably people out there that are struggling to balance work and home and all that stuff. Talk to me about how you do that and why it's important to you.
Well, listen, let me just say up front is I don't do it well all the time. I'm married. I have been married my high school sweetheart. We've been married 20 years this year or last year. So this is the 21st year. And probably like all folks working, I love what I do. And so for me, you have your good days and your bad days, but it's not work. Like to get to come up here and get interviewed, hang out with people that are my friends for a couple days. It's a pretty good gig. And so, there are certainly times where I have to take a step back as my wife reminds me like, hey, you're here, but you're not here. You're answering your phone. Yeah. And so I don't want to paint the picture that I have it all figured out. But I think what attracted me to this business early on is that it is a business that can revolve around family. As salespeople, we do get to make our own hours. We do get to schedule no appointment at 3:00 if we want to because we need to pick our kids up. Now, to me, this is a whole different topic, which is what's the downside of our business is that you have to be a great manager of you. And if you're not a great manager of yourself, then one day you don't schedule a 3, and then before you know it, you don't start work on Mondays until noon. And then when you add up your week, you've only worked 6 hours and you can't make a good living making 6 hours. So the balance is really trying to determine this opportunity cost. So we talk about this at our office is like, if I can make a sale in an hour and a half or whatever that time frame is, and just for simple math, I can make $300 or $400. Everybody's paid different, but it's an easy number. If I opt to not work today because I'm gonna go play golf with you, we got a tee time at 2, then I have this potential loss of income that I have to say is playing golf with Dallas today at 2 worth not making $400. Yeah. And when you start looking at your time that way, then you can make that decision to balance what you need to. But I think really it just comes down to trying to do the best I can. I can't always be there, but I try to be.
Yeah. I think it comes down to doing it on purpose too.
Sure.
I think a lot of us, my problem when I first got started was I would go into the day, and I call it insurance by lottery. You hope you fall into a sale, and I think sometimes we hope we're a good parent too. So I think it's just doing stuff on purpose. I really do. So
well, and listen, if we're just being real with whoever's watching, it is we've all heard this, but getting caught up in building your career is easy to do, and you need money, especially as a young parent. You're just, it's like you're waking up, you're going to work, you're just trying to get home, get the kids to bed so you can do it all tomorrow.
Yep.
And so you do have to be careful, to your point, in balancing that. You don't just wake up one day and have 1,000 policyholders and more money than you can spend, but you missed out on all these things. And so I think that goes back to the mentor piece of having people that help keep you grounded and remind you of what's important.
I love that. So I'm going to ask you to brag on your kid a little bit. The tattoo, we mentioned it earlier. What's that all about?
Yeah, so the short story that everybody's probably tired of me saying, because I didn't play sports, and so I live vicariously through my kids.
Of course.
And so it's like when my kid hits a home run, I hit a home run.
Well, pretty much.
So I stand a little taller. But my daughter, who is now at the University of Arkansas, so the story goes that the way that we do it at our house is we pay our kids for things. And that's kind of the start of this story. So like we say, hey, if you strike a kid out, you get $3. Or if you have an ace in volleyball, you get $2. And the idea is that they have something to work towards. They have to give us their totals at the end of the tournament weekend. And then we give them money, and it teaches them to have to spend their own money. And really, it keeps me from having to give them money anyway. So kind of everybody wins. But my older daughter is very much a salesperson. And so when we were working through what it was she would get for a win, a state championship, all these different things, she asked me at the end, like, Daddy, what will you give me if I break the all-time state record in the mile? And so in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, so you're going to be the fastest female high school runner in Arkansas history. Like, I'll get the time tattooed on me. And as you've heard me say, scared of needles, like I'm the guy that's going to pass out when they take blood. And so I remember telling my wife that, hey, I told Olivia I would get the time tattooed on me. And my wife's like, you're an idiot. And so, my response to her was, it's not a big deal. It's never going to happen. And so clearly it did happen.
I was going to say, there's a tattoo there.
Yeah. So she did break the record.
Wow.
A couple records for the state of Arkansas. And last September, I had to pay my debt. And my wife reminded me, like, you made a promise.
Yeah.
And so I don't have anything against tattoos.
Yeah.
But if you had told me, 2 years ago that I'd have one, I would say no way.
That's great.
So that's kind of where we are today.
That is awesome, man. Well, man, I appreciate you coming in. And again, great stuff. I appreciate that. How can people how can they find Eldercare Insurance Services?
Yeah. So obviously you can reach out to any of us. You can just find us, Eldercare Insurance Services. You Google us is probably the easiest way versus giving you a web address. But whether someone wants to reach out, shoot an email, all our contact info's on there.
Yeah. If you guys want to work with somebody that still knows how to do business the right way and considers it normal to call you back, they're the people to reach out to. I appreciate that, man. Absolutely.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, guys, again, thank you so much for tuning in today. Thank you guys again for all the comments and suggestions, all that stuff. We appreciate you very much. I hope this has been helpful. Tell me who you need to see in that, you want to see in that chair over there. Give me some suggestions. Somebody that's killing it in the Medicare world and doing it the right way, and we'll get them on the show. Thanks again for watching and listening to the Medicare Sales Playbook. Hope you have a great day. We'll talk to you next week.